Welcome to the Green Wisdom Health Podcast with Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis, where you will learn about natural solutions to common ailments. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. Stephen and Janet Lewis.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Green Wisdom Health Show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are excited that you are here today listening to our testosterone podcast, because who doesn't need testosterone? Apparently a lot of people are lacking testosterone. So that's why Dr. Lewis wrote a book about it. But today we're going to educate men and women about how to balance it naturally. I know people are used to getting patches and things, but we have a little bit different approach, don't we, Dr. Lewis?
Yeah, I've never thought that disease was a lack of a drug, and everybody's got an opinion, but success leaves clues, but so does failure.
Well, I think there's maybe some hormonal issues that go on that people don't even realize, or could be a testosterone issue, and they're different for men and women. Usually you hear men saying, I need testosterone. You're used to them getting pellets or...
It started with Tim Allen going, the tool man.
Yeah, but why is that so rampant nowadays that the testosterone is low? Maybe that's a better place to start.
There are a lot of things, and it's multifaceted. Well, our food is terrible. They're genetically modified, and I know there's some people say that doesn't matter. Yes, it does. We've been to Europe and we've been to China. It does make a difference. The other thing is we have so many different things in our environment, 85,000 to 100,000 different chemicals that act like estrogen. And that's why, and you've heard me say it many times before, little girls develop breast and menstrual cycle years before they're supposed to. Little boys are getting more and more feminine, and if you hadn't noticed that, you ain't paying attention. And that's why there's an epidemic of low testosterone and more low T clinics popping up, and they're getting whether it's pellets or shots or whatever, but there are some real issues here, and that's why it's very important to increase your nutrient intake so that your body can ramp up the detoxification processes. We've talked about that in the weight loss, about, well, it's not just losing fat cells. You've got to deal with the toxins that are in there. And you have to be careful, and that's why we talk about discerning spirit, because some people say, oh, I read this, and it's mercury. It's mercury poisoning. I said, well, what are you going to do about the other 85,000 things? And it could be mercury poisoning if you're taking high fructose corn syrup, which is in all kinds of things hidden. You get a lot of mercury just from that. So, but there are other things to deal with. So why? It's because all these estrogen mimicking chemicals, or xenoestrogens, are offsetting your testosterone as it offsets progesterone in a woman also.
And I think these clinics have been around long enough now that most people just think that's a normal thing to do, is to get those pellets or shots, because a lot of people are doing it, and there's a lot of clinics. But there are some side effects to that, right?
Yep. I tell people, or they come in and say, well, this isn't working anymore, and I look at their lab and say, well, Jesus, your liver's overwhelmed. And I'm a chiropractor. I look at things from a musculoskeletal standpoint, but if you do the nutrients to fix your musculoskeletal system, you'd be surprised what else shows up to get well. And it's like, I know I have this idea that there is a God. I know that's kind of unusual for some people. And so we tell people, when your heart's overwhelmed, we will help you fill it with peace. And then the other thing is, I'm a little bit blunt, and I tell people, stop eating crap. They say, well, no, I eat good. No, you don't. Crap stands for carbonated drinks, refined sugars, artificial foods, and processed foods. I've got a jillion patients that I absolutely love, but then you got Alan up in Maine, and he sends me stuff from time to time. He says, well, I haul goldfish, but I don't eat them. And Alan, You bring joy to my heart. You really do, and a lot of other people too. But here's a guy that hauls them in his truck, but he's smart enough not to eat them.
Well, that's funny. I didn't know that's what he did. So that's
At one time, at least.
But, you know, I think we've all been so conditioned to, well, just take a drug or put something in our body to replace what seems to be missing. Didn't God give us all that we needed there?
Well, I think so, but it's not in our food is the problem. And, you know, I understand some of the things I say are controversial, and sometimes I say it in a manner that's not always polite. I tell people, you want me to shoot straight or sugar-coat it? If you want sugar-coated, you need to get some donuts. And here's the thing I want you to think about. Depression is not an SSRI deficiency. Heart disease is not a statin deficiency. Diabetes is not a metformin deficiency. ADD and ADHD is not an Adderall deficiency. Insomnia is not an Ambien deficiency. And obesity is not an Ozempic deficiency. Okay, that's blunt, isn't it? Sorry. I'm going to put a package of sugar-coated donuts on my desk just to have people think or question. But I want you to think about these things and always use your discerning spirit, because this is Dr. Lewis's opinion. But as I said earlier, success leaves clues. Pay attention to who's successful.
Well, and I think one thing, you know, low testosterone symptoms in male are, you know, obviously low libido and erectile dysfunction.
Which is rampant.
But did you know when you start, well, you probably do if you're doing it, when you start taking something to replace testosterone, don't your testicles shrink up too, Dr. Lewis?
Yeah.
Isn't that where it's made and they're not needed anymore?
Yeah, it's called Leydig cells, and that's from 40 years ago. I took the test anyway. Yes, they do, but they shrink if you get your testosterone shots or your pellets, and the testicles say, well, we've got plenty of testosterone. We'll just kind of hang around, pun intended.
Yeah, men don't really like that. Also kind of makes them have some bald patches on the back of their head. I've noticed that too. It's like their hair starts leaving a little bit faster than it should have.
God, you know, and Janet says I have hearing loss, but I didn't hear her say that. I thought she said bald patches, so never mind. You know, our goal, and I'm in a real smart aleck mood, and people say, well, what else is new? You know, our goal is to die, but die as healthy as we can, as late as we can, in a much younger body.
Yeah, we want to look good with hair, right?
Yeah, I asked Janet, is my hair thinning? She says, oh, heck no, quit worrying about it.
And I'm not picking on the men. I'm just telling you that these are some things that are caused by synthetic.
Well, but you got to get started. You've got to change your oil before the engine catches on fire and starts smoking. Usually by the time people seek help from me, it's like, why didn't you do what I told you to 15 years ago? Now it's too late.
Yeah, other signs of low testosterone in men are hot flashes.
Yeah.
You mean like women? They get hot flashes as well?
It's power surge, baby.
I didn't know we got to share that little fun thing.
Yeah, well, maybe I put that in the wrong column in the book. I don't know.
How about depression? Depression is low testosterone?
It can be a lot of things, and that's another thing. I really plan to write a book about stress, anxiety, and depression because it's really rampant. And I made a note here. This was in 2010, so it's a while back. 45% of the workers surveyed were happy at their jobs. That means 55% hate it, and those are the people that say, I'm retired and I'm happy. It's like, I can't retire because I love what I do. Every year, the threshold of unhappiness sinks lower and lower and lower. And 50 years ago, the mean onset age of depression was at 29.5 years of age. Now, that's pretty dadgum young. That's 50 years ago. Today, the mean onset of depression is at 14.5. So young teenagers are depressed at a much, much greater rate. Well, does that correspond with the lowering of testosterone? You know, 50 years ago, or since 50 years ago, our sperm count has gone down by 50%. Our testosterone's gone way, way, way down. So I think there's a obvious correlation, and I don't think that's everything in the equation, but it's, to me, pretty obvious. That's a big, big part of it.
So, and they also gain weight, correct? And body fat. Is that because their testosterone is low, and when that's low, their metabolism slows down?
I just sucked in my stomach when she said that.
Just asking a question.
That's part of it, yeah, because we've got a weight loss program, and most people have had really, really good success, except the ones that say, well, I went to here and got this ice cream treat, and, oh, well, I had pizza to celebrate and set them back 3 weeks. Yes, absolutely. You've got to do 95% good. You can't do, well, I only cheat once a day with a bagel, or with, wheat's the worst thing you can put in your body. I'd rather you drink beer because it's barley and hops, and I'm not suggesting you do that.
And you made a nutrient-based eating book. I mean, the book's based on testosterone performance, correct? And it's nutrient-based to help build testosterone?
Well, yeah, there's the key, and I'll tell you, our foods are very nutrient deficient, but most of our food is fake food, and if you eat the recipes in the book, people say, oh my God, I feel better mentally. Oh my God, I feel better physically. Oh my God, I have energy all of a sudden. Oh my God, my wife thinks I'm better looking. I said, that's because you're not grouchy, which is one of the symptoms of low testosterone. You get irritable.
Does that go for a woman as well? They get irritable?
If a man's smart, he would never say.
Okay. Well, we're not done with men here.
So men, if your wife asks you, here's Dr. Lewis's answer. Life is so much easier if you're drunk. I'm just teasing.
What I always tell men when they ask about low testosterone, I tell them, well, do you still have the endurance you used to have? Like you want to get up and do something, or is your whole goal for the day is to sit in the rocking chair or the recliner with the remote and change the channels, and that's your activity is pushing the buttons?
Go from bed to the recliner to take a nap. Think about this. This is a Stevenism. Have you ever thought that humans are the only animal on earth that needs to be taught what to eat or what foods to eat to keep themselves healthy? And that's because things have been bastardized. Oh, well, that's a tough word, isn't it? We have been conditioned, in a bad way, to eat incorrectly. A normal diet is not what a normal diet was when I was a kid. And not that it was necessarily good then, but it was way, way, way better.
Are you talking about cooking at home or the food in general, the normal diet?
Yes. Well, highly processed foods are full of, don't get me into the 3-letter agencies that say it's okay not to put in warnings about these hydrogenated oils that are inflammatory. No wonder things are inflamed, which has to do with the weight gain, but it has to do with lowering of testosterone. And so, yeah, if you eat out, you're eating all these processed foods, and if you're eating in, you need to make sure that you're cooking better, and that's what the book's about, is learning to eat better. And we don't put in what you shouldn't eat. It's just glaringly omitted, and what you should eat rather than what you shouldn't.
So if they start eating correctly or eating nutrient-based eating, it's not a diet really, it's nutrient-based eating to replace the things that are low with testosterone, right? It's the foods that would give you those vitamins and minerals, I guess.
Yeah, the basics for that. And, you've got to unlearn some of these stupid things that society has been conditioned to think. If you tell a lie long enough, loud enough, people begin to believe it. Apparently people didn't learn that with Hitler in World War II, but, just to unlearn, cholesterol is a very, very powerful antioxidant. Cholesterol heals inflammation, but that's why it's plaquing. You got to lower the inflammation. Cholesterol heals arterial damage. Well, you need to lower the arterial inflammation in the first place. Cholesterol is needed for hormones. Testosterone. Those of you that's doing something stupid, that's a wrong word, doing something to lower your cholesterol, guess what it can't make? You can't make testosterone. Cholesterol is needed to produce serotonin. That's why people that lower their cholesterol artificially, serotonin is one of the happy hormones that makes you feel happy and the peace of God.
That's interesting. They'd give you medications that would help lower those things.
It's a $30 to $50 billion a year business. It's all about the money, isn't it, honey?
I don't know. It's almost like they don't want births or something.
I just want y'all to think, folks. You don't have to believe what I say, but if you think about it and you're halfway, have a little bit of common sense, you'll know that
discernment.
Oh, my God. Let's get biblical.
Enlarged male breast tissue. That happens to be one of my favorite subjects.
I'm going to let you tell that story, but fat cells produce estrogen, and even in men, and the more fat you have, it's like, well, you're producing estrogen. Why? You're lowering your testosterone. So Janet has a really good story about male breast.
So I happened to be at a area where they were serving drinks and went up to it and
she's sugarcoating this.
And asked the bartender wanted to know if he could get me a light beer, and I said, "Oh no!" I said, "You don't drink light beer, do you?" And he said, "Oh yeah, he said that's the most popular beer on tap." And I said, "You do know that creates estrogen because of the estrogen mimickers in light beer.
The way they filter it puts more plastics in it.
It's worse than dark beer." And he goes, "Oh, dark beer's not good." I said, "Well, you're going to get man breast from it."
Which he looked down and grabbed his breast.
And I said, "You don't want your son," because I knew he had a son. I said, "You don't want him knowing that you need a bra, do you?" And he said,
again, he brought his breast up close.
And he goes, "Well, what do you drink?" And I said, "Well, not light beer." I said, "If you're going to do it, the darker the better, because it has less estrogen mimickers in it.
And more nutrients."
It was probably 6 months later I came across him again. And as soon as I walked up to him, he goes, "I quit light beer. I don't drink it anymore." He goes, "After that story you told," he said, "I can't do it." And I said,
out of thousands of customers, he remembered Janet. I'm sure it was just about the beautiful smile.
So that was one of the best things Bud Light could have done, is get everybody to quit drinking that beer, because now they'll have less estrogen. And if her boobs start shrinking, I mean, if a man's breasts are large enough that they need a bra, there may be something they're having this estrogen mimicking.
Yeah.
So,
and the reason we do this is because life gets way more precious when you figure out there's less of it to waste. And somebody told me, he said, "Dr. Lewis, you're on the short end of the stick." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, you've kind of wasted most of your life." I said, "I've lived most of my life, but I sure as heck hadn't wasted it. We're having fun and we're blessing other people." And that's the key to happiness is, give it to somebody else and it comes back multiplied.
and you wonder why that doesn't work on women, though. If they drink light beer, why don't their breasts get bigger? Their whole body gets bigger.
Maybe they do. So here's the thing. To a woman, don't let any man who drinks White Claw raise his voice at you. You talk to him woman to woman.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to go pick on women for a while.
That was funny.
We've probably done enough.
Damage.
Low testosterone symptoms in women. And all the men are like, "Oh, yes, please fix her. It's going to just raise her testosterone. She's going to want sex again." And the women always shake their head at me while he's not looking and go, no.
I just want a good night's sleep.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly right. So there's other things, women, that you need testosterone for. One of them is actually depression, just like men. They actually, with low testosterone, they get very depressed. Fatigue. You're more tired because your testosterone's too low.
If she's fatigued, man, you need to get your butt up there and wash dishes. That's the sexiest pose you'll ever make after you're married. Wash dishes.
And don't grab them from behind, whatever that picture is.
Yeah, you know what men do, the woman. Never mind. Sorry, I digress.
Just wash the dishes. Let us sit.
I'm having too much fun.
I know. Muscle weakness. That means they're just not as strong as they need to be because they're losing muscle mass because testosterone.
Men and women, yeah, absolutely.
Women can actually get thinning hair. They always think it's their thyroid. Sometimes it's not.
It can be thyroid.
That's
It can be poor digestion, poor protein utilization, but, low testosterone can do it.
Which is when all the women say, well, which lab test should I get? Just make sure it includes thyroid. Well, that's always in our comprehensive panel. I said, but you need the other hormones of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA. No, I don't need any of that. Yeah, you do.
If you knew what you needed, why are you here?
Right. It's not just thyroid, believe me. Difficulty concentrating can be a low testosterone.
What'd you say?
I don't know. And actually, reduced vaginal lubrication is a low testosterone issue also, and or progesterone can be progesterone as well.
And it can be estrogen, and estrogen has to be conjugated in the liver. It can get to be, there's good estrogen and bad estrogen, so you need to pay attention to that and make sure there's good liver function conjugation, good probiotics to take care of that so it doesn't get unconjugated in your small intestine, reabsorbed, and potentially cause cancer.
And we're going to talk about a few of the lab tests that are different than what you're used to having from your doctor. But first, I wanted Dr. Lewis to talk about a product that men and women can both take that helps increase their testosterone. And we actually had a man that was doing pellets that tried our new Testo Essentials Max to see what it did in relation to his pellets. And he said it actually gave him longer stamina. He noticed that
we're talking about at work, I'm sure.
Yes, work.
Oh, you believe that?
Right. But he said he could tell he's actually something natural helped better than the pellets for him. So could you tell us what Testo Essentials Max is, why you like it so much?
Well, I like it, but
it gives me a lot of energy.
Yeah, well, let me digress and tell another story. There's this guy that comes in, and we grew up in the same town, although he's like 4 years older than me, which makes him in his 70s, and he says, "Oh my God, that costs too much." I said, "It's cheaper than dinner and a movie. Shut up and take it." And again, I've known this guy all my life, and I love him dearly. And he comes back and tells us things that, Jim, you shouldn't be talking like that in front of Janet. About all of his girlfriends and going into the gory TMI, too many details. Testo Essentials Max is oh my God, it's got something in it called shilajit. Yeah, I had to look it up so I could pronounce it correctly, but it's kind of a biomass from the Himalayan mountains. It's a naturally occurring, mineral-rich phytocomplex, basically fulvic acid, and
he is really the sound didn't cut out. He's looking for his next sentence. So that's been interesting.
I'm trying to be polite. It helps with
and he's red. You can't see him. I'm gonna tell you he's red. It helps with what?
Yes. Yeah, it does.
You can tell part of a story on someone else.
Well, you kind of danced around your bar story too.
I'm just saying that we had a gentleman that started taking this, and his wife told us, "Doc, there are things I ain't seen in years on him." So
he's waking up in the morning with things I hadn't seen in years,
yes.
And I said, "Send me chocolates to say thank you."
Go ahead with your ingredients.
Well, it helps with testosterone levels, and it's adaptogenic, so it helps you with stress to help adapt. It's an antioxidant. It's a cytokine balancing, and cytokine storm is one of the things that contributes to cancer. and other things. It blocks tau proteins. That means you're not going to build those things up in your brain and have as much dementia, Alzheimer's tendency. It is rumored to have a role in supporting cognition, and I know I need that genetically. My brother, Dr. James Lewis, and I helped put off dementia in my mother over 25 years, and then Janet came on the scene, and my mother would do anything for Janet, and she had dementia in her early to mid 60s, and it didn't really kick her butt till about 88 to 92, and it's because she took a lot of really, really good supplements to support her brain health, and this shallow sheet helps with that. And then it's got something called Uricomia longifolia. Just, men, remember the word long. It's a Malaysian ginseng, and it's a tonic and adaptogen. Helps support libido, energy, sports performance. Well, you could call that a sport, couldn't you?
How many of these do you take per day, sir?
Oh, the dosage is 2, but, if your wife ain't watching...
Oh, yeah, I know. They're all like,
More's
I can
better.
do 4 a day. And I'm like, it's made for a month. Supply it, too.
And people say it's expensive. I said, well, it's cheaper than pellets in your butt.
Well, you might as well, while you're on a roll, talk about our other product that also mostly men like.
Well, I'm on a roll because I have the stamina to pull it off. Tim Allen, too, man. Let me digress a little bit while I'm having fun.
I didn't know we weren't.
The way testosterone is made is through, it starts out in the brain, the hypothalamus in the brain, then goes to the pituitary gland. So when they say it's all in your head, never mind. Let's go to Nitric Oxide Revive. This is good. When I take it regular, it lowers my blood pressure because it helps with vascularity or the flexibility of the arteries and veins. So if it's more flexible and it opens up and relaxes more, bigger pipe means lower pressure. So that one reason why it helps promote the health of the endothelial lining, which is the inside of the blood vessels. And, there was a Nobel Prize for the discovery of nitric oxide. And guys, if you want to know about nitric oxide, that's why Viagra works, okay? So it's got, it's got the time-released L-arginine.
Which is the difference. Usually they're not time released, right?
Yeah, because L-arginine will be in and out in about 20, 30 minutes. But if it's time released, Jenny shook her head on that.
All his wording today is very interesting.
Well, I don't know what your cognition is, honey. How do you interpret that? But it's time released, so it lasts more than 20 or 30 minutes, the effect of it. It's really, really good. As I said, helps with the endothelial health of the blood vessel. It inhibits the smooth muscle contraction because your arteries and veins really have muscles in them. So that increases blood flow and increased blood flow means increased nutrient uptake and glucose utilization in the muscle, especially during exercise. Now, Janet's brother is a macho man, and he loves this stuff because he likes to work out. And it's like, I just get tired. I don't work out, but I'm very, very active. He loves this stuff.
I think he got all my testosterone. I think he got his and mine. But
yeah, something like that. So the Nitric Oxide Revive just goes hand in hand with the Testo Essentials Max, which really and truly I think everybody should be on DHEA. We're not really even going to go there because DHEA is the precursor to not just testosterone, but it has responsibilities to help fix about 150 different things in the brain and the body. So, this is a pretty well put together package. So when I said it starts in the head, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, then it goes to the testicles, then it goes into the Leydig cells, and then it creates testosterone, which has a biofeedback mechanism to go back to the hypothalamus or the brain. So it's a pretty comprehensive and complex thing, but you don't have to worry about it. Just throw these things in, ask God to bless it, and your body's going to use it for good. It really will.
We were going to go into a little more detail about the different lab panels, but we've had so much fun explaining testosterone.
I thought we was talking about dark beer.
We don't really have time to go into them individually, but just know that there's more to it than what your doctor is running for testosterone levels. They generally just run testosterone. There is something called free, right, Dr. Lewis? That's very important to that.
Yeah, how much you have total doesn't mean much unless you have an adequate amount of free, which goes into the sex hormone binding globulin, da-da-da-da-da-da. You don't need to understand the process. You just need to know that Janet and I do.
But there's also other tests, and we're specifically talking about our testosterone performance lab panel. You can see all the test markers on our website at greenwisdomhealth.com, but it's got things like sex hormone binding globulin, follicular stimulating hormone, which is FSH, luteinizing hormones, and then it also has a prostate PSA on there. So there's different parts of the male profile that you probably have never seen on lab. So that's we're pretty excited about that. It goes along with Dr. Lewis's nutrient-based eating program. And then we also now offer a 90-day boot camp to kickstart you right into all this working way faster than you just trying to do it on your own. We have health coaching now available as well with it. You get a copy of Dr. Lewis's book. And then we hold your hand as a white glove treatment for 90 days so you can get the results that you're looking for. But Dr. Lewis, sadly, we are at the end of this show. So would you like to leave us with any other words than what you've already left us with?
Something that's not smart aleck is what I heard. I think from now on we're going to put a warning on our podcast and say that our podcast on this, may cause you to have original thoughts and to develop and have questioning your programmed and indoctrinated thinking, because I want you to think so that you can be healthier. And the thing about it is we have a lot of fun, maybe too much, some people say, but think about this for just a minute. If speaking kindly to plants help them grow, can you imagine what speaking kindly to other humans could do?
And that wraps our show. You guys, if you don't know where to start, go to our website, greenwisdomhealth.com, fill out the health survey. It will help guide you to a lab panel. It will also help guide you to us. And Dr. Lewis will call you, talk to you, and discuss with you how we can help you with your health goals. We hope you guys have a blessed week. We'll be here next time on the Green Wisdom Health Show.
Once again, our show has come to an end, but your hope in your health is only beginning. If you or a loved one are in need of a different outcome and are waiting for a brighter future, take the first step and go to our website and fill out the health survey. Please don't keep us a secret. If you know someone that could benefit from this podcast, please share this show with your friends and family. You are only one step away from a life worth living.